Welcome back, everybody. I'm ready to be done with kicking around these tires and get some floor space back around the H. So it's time to put all these freshly painted parts together and condense this a little bit because it's not a very big shop and I need room for the next paint batch. So before we put anything together, we can do my favorite part of any painting job. That is getting rid of all the masking. Almost like Christmas. We also masked all the areas where the pedals pivot. Helps a lot when you go to put things back together if you don't have excess paint on all those spots. Except for this right here, that's a gap where nothing rides on the shaft. So I wanted some color there. Brake band actuator cam bushings, we protected those with these small plastic caps. Starter mounting flange, good to keep that clean. Price is Right style. Boom. Only do that where you know what's behind it. And wheel clamp studs. Masked the working areas where the nuts will likely want to tighten in. And finally, axle clamping surface. And of course, this stuff does not want to cooperate there. Got it peeling a little bit. For now, I'm going to leave the masking on the front of the bell housing because those stands are over the top of it and there's no clean way to get it all removed. I'm also going to leave the masking over the belt pulley drive opening on top of the transmission to keep that area well sealed until all that's ready to go on. Working on removing the 4 legs that we use to paint these wheel centers. This process has worked pretty well for us. And that brings me back around to a comment left under the prior Preparation H paint video. Arno van Dokkum says, question, how did you paint the cast wheel hubs inside, outside in one time standing on those 4 rods and getting every surface with 50% of the hub down under? I paint them on the tractor and slowly turn them. Thanks from Holland. That's actually a good question. And what I did was paint this side first because I stated I'm going to reverse the direction of these wheel centers and have the dish going in. So this is our new inside surface. So I painted all of this first and then we picked it with the tractor and we set it on top of those barrels resting on these 4 legs. And what that allowed me to do was get a good finish surface on the outside, which is what is going to be most visible now. Plus, I had enough room that if I needed to, I could get in around the edges of the barrel and still get paint sprayed up around the rim to avoid any kind of overspray lines, anything like that. And we did the same process on the Super M. Seems to work really well. Another benefit to attaching these legs where we do is that this is where the wheel weight bolts will go. So any small area that didn't get red paint on it because of the hardware will mostly be covered by those anyhow, so it's minimal touch-up around what is left. Another thing I like as well, using the 4 legs and barrel method, in case I did have to wrap some fresh paint around the edge and we ended up with some overspray in this area, the wheel weight covers all of it. So it's just another good way to hide any imperfections. So the 4 legs and barrel method definitely works best for us. Wheel weight time now. Senior is offering a technical assist. Try to get everything lined up using a very long bolt on top. That side one going in. Yep. Guide bolt out. Regular bolt in. Freshly painted lock washer and nut. All right, time for a tech tip. The unfortunate reality of a freshly painted fastener is that it is going to require some touch-up after you've put a wrench on it. And I prefer 12-point anything, okay, when dealing with freshly painted fasteners. I tried a 6-point one time, thinking that maybe it would be a little bit easier on the paint. Not so. I removed just about all the paint from the head of the bolt with a 6-point socket. So I use a 12-point because it actually comes into contact less with the head of the fastener and you have less touching up to do. Also, make sure it's clean because a lot of times grease and things, stuff builds up in there, and when you get that all dirty, you're going to have to clean it again before you can do any touch-up. It just creates more work for yourself. This is the really fun part, being so tight in up against the tool chest on this side. Have to get the angles of everything just right. And try not to scratch anything in the process, right? I tightened the wheel clamp bolts off camera, and I want to point out the arrangement of hardware beneath the heads of the bolts. It is correct to have this really thin flat washer and then a lock washer. You can see it, flat lock, and then the bolt. That's the proper stack up arrangement in this area. And now I can show you why I wanted to dish these wheel centers in, because with them dished out and the hub face almost contacting the seal retainer, well, I just couldn't get the tread width that I wanted to try and draft that 2-bottom plow better. So by flipping the dish and dishing them in, that relocates the center hub further out on the axle, and once we factor in the offset of the width of the tire and rim, the inside of the wheel will be right about even with that seal retainer. So about a 2.5 inch offset gain, in toward the center line of the tractor. We're not going crazy with it. I just couldn't get it with the centers in the more normal position dished out. Another thing I went back and forth on was how to position the wheel weights. My initial thought was to put them toward the outside once again, thinking it would add stability. I decided to just tuck them to the inside. It's a much cleaner look, and if you notice where it's positioned in relation to center line of the wheel, we are still outboard center line of wheel and tire anyhow. So I decided to leave them in there. Plus, if I ever decide to swap these wheel centers back around and dish them back out, I don't have to change position of these then. I can leave it all just as it is. So let's get the tire on. Did I ever mention how I love the fact that I don't have any fluid in my tires? I don't know if I've ever said that or not. Probably only 20 times. with one clamp in at the very top. I think 1 or 2 more clicks of the jack should get it to seat at the bottom. Yep, there it is. I'll do an every other alternation for a couple revolutions. Try to seat everything in evenly. Even at that, we are going to have to recheck all of these several times just to make sure that none of that paint gave in and caused anything to loosen up. Okay everybody, wheel weight, round 2. Doing it solo this time. I think Senior's busy. Also, making sure to position the openings in the wheel weights is critical when it comes time for starting these bolts in here, especially because we've basically caged ourselves in by already having the weight on the hub. Come on now, let's do this like we've got practice. Okay everybody, here we are. We've cut room back. Look at that, no tires leaning up against anything. I can actually walk. We've got a lot of room to start bringing a lot of the clutter from back there into the mid-range to get it all rehabbed and then find its home on the tractor. And that was the wheel spacing that I was going for. I was about 64 inches center to center before. I'm about 59 inches now. So we didn't really narrow it up much, but I got just a couple more inches that I could not get with those centers flipped around the other way. So all is well right here. And in other news, I have the replacement cylinder head ready to haul up to the machine shop tomorrow. All the valve train pieces are right there. Hopefully this ends up being something that's good and they're able to recondition it. We can use that for the engine and get the front half of this thing underway. In the meantime, I'll keep busy just refurbing parts and pieces for the back half and make as much progress as I can. Thank you everyone as usual for watching. Hope to see y'all back next time.